what do you look for in any art? Beauty is there. Anything that is, if it is art, it must evoke that pleasure. There must be beauty in it, no matter what you want to pass across, whether it's a serious thing or whatever. That aspect of beauty must be in art. But you know what we mean by beauty. We are not. You understand that. So these people, there is nothing more artistic than what they are doing. How do you qualify that as I said, they may not see themselves as artists in the real sense of it, but they are. It's artistic. An ordinary person uh, who is not artistic, or who has not learned that art cannot do it. It's not just a simple design that you sit down to mark. Even an artist who is not trained in that art may not be able to do what they are doing. So they are artists to me, but we know that they are holding a position in the traditional society as people who cure some ailments related to this Udeh thing. The ancient in their wisdom beautified the designs. Sometimes I just feel, maybe they thought, because of the pains, since it involves the spilling of blood, scarring the body, and they felt, that's my own thinking, that okay, to compensate this person, let's beautify this thing so that when the child, especially the child, grows up, he will love it. He will not have any reason to accuse his or her parents for that. And they have beautiful designs. I mean, sometimes I look at the wisdom of the ancients, the way they do things, or the way they did some of the things that we are now building upon. You will know that these people were people who, one can say, were deep thinkers. Some of my students have it. You just say, where you will not even expect. Maybe a girl may just want to maybe change into her, just lifting it. So this girl, it will get fine girl. The thing will just be there, beautiful, and yes, it will interest students, I think. And I think it's one of the ways to push the frontiers of the Uday markings, in Esan land, by doing a documentary or documentaries on it, and pushing it forward.
Those who have that kind of design in their tummy or their side of the body, if they put up their clothes, the way and manner it appears, it is artistically designed. And the pain is gone. People will begin to argue, is this not form of tattoo? Yeah, the tattoo of the now are not purposive much more than for the beauty of it. But this one has curative, identification, edifying, and those who even carry it, sometimes they show off with it. That it takes us to go through this to have this. And this kind of tattoo is not like the one that gives side effect. The one for Esan used to treat EMA. Once it is done, it is done. There are no side effects. To the best of my knowledge, EMA or Udeh, as it is called, those who have undergone this kind of operation, they never experience it again. It's once and for all. But for it to become so permanent, there are herbs they also take. So that if there be anything that is remaining there, it flushes these things out and the people are better for it. The artistic design that this thing turned out to be is not common to other races. It's very there with us as Esan people. Those who may be in Lagos, those who may be in Abuja, and such things affect them, there are tendencies that they will be referred to, come back home so that it will be attended to. And once the child is truly attended to, it bounces back to life. The pain no longer reoccurs. And those artistic design shows up until death. And it's usually beautiful when you see people who truly have some flesh and the thing comes out. If they pull up their dresses, you'll just be fine. Unlike this one we see now in modern time, they call tattoo. And it does not depict anything. It is not used for curative purpose, but they call it is artistically designed. And don't forget, beauty usually is in the eye of the beholder. Just like you have said, In Esan, like we have this easy understanding of our language, but we speak differently. Why some persons call this ailment Udeh, others from the part where I'm from, Esan Southeast and the like, we call it EMA. And it is common among young ones. And sometimes adults also experience it, perhaps because they were not attended to when they were younger. So, what is this Udeh or EMA about? And the connection it has with the treatment that eventually looks as if the modern tattoo has since been engraved amongst our people. Some persons will tell you EMA is not a thing that jump at people. It could be as a result of what ought to be done that was not done. For example, when the meals meant for adults are administered for children to take, it could cause this. Then are you saying it is constipation? No, it's not. It is a pain by either the left or the right hand side of this child. And this, as for the side, it's not specific. But once this pain comes, our people, as pragmatic as we are, as some people, they will say in our language, when something happens, there's something that needs to be done. Does this involve contacting the diviners? No. But there are people who are experts in herbs and they know what to do. And in the midst of them are those who execute these herbs to making it work faster for the person that is ill. And which means if such a child is taken to such specialists, it's likened to the modern immunization method that some knives or cutting instruments be used to ensure that the paste therein comes out either via water or little of blood. And there are things with which they do this. The drawing pattern is not specific and static. Some could draw something that looks like a lizard. Some could draw things that looks like leaf. Some could draw other things that at the healing process and the scars get over, this thing turns out to be beautiful. Then at the time when this thing is done, pain is usually there. But the pain is purposive, is aimed at getting the ailment out of it. To the best of my knowledge, EMA or Udeh, as it is called, those who have undergone this kind of operation, they never experience it again. It's once and for all. But for it to become so permanent, there are herbs they also take. So that if there be anything that is remaining there, it flushes these things out and the people are better for it. So in some specific areas like Uromi, Nekboma, and Ewohimi, there are specialists that are usually referred. And the modern medicine will tell you because the people are not scientific enough. Maybe the hygiene nature where this thing is done is not so proper. I will not subscribe to that because even when the days of using small size of knife, there are ways they sterilize this knife through fire, through wash of the same knife with quantity of salt and things like that. It wasn't science that taught them that one. They know that if this thing is not properly sterilized, it has effect on it. And the way and manner they sharpen it before the advent of filing, they use stove. And anything that goes through the stove, because perhaps because of the sparkling of the light from stove, it kills whatever germ that may be there. Right now, they no longer use knives; they use razor blades, and these blades are the ones that have not been used before. So as for the issue of whether it may contaminate the system, it may affect the person, that should not come at all because the purpose for which that thing is done has been achieved. The question I have is this as a researcher. Those who have been doing this thing, are this knowledge transferable? Is it the case that those who are used to doing it now, by the time they go the way of all mortals, who takes over? That is the issue that we need to address.
Mohi himoria na homema. Aremo dio sita anare himo o se ya homo. Ado morena mena gbone mafo bi huna egbeda. One ma ni oria na ma. Ona riwe kota igbihe. Oro ni agbo. Oro afia o akara. Egaire mojo olesi mo gbon. Me agbon fo egbeda. O bosi inyerime o me na we inyerime o ma me o ni wena me na mo ni wena na ko in 1990 or my morning when I go. So ni mere aro the day a day eso ilabuja vari e akoke wo wi saple e agbawi tu isen e agbawi tu hiyan e dori moto mu me na me ahia me yogbon gba e ma me asema ni ewo gbaro we me jo many times me jo yogbon ne mani and edo monju wori evo ne bun eso li abuja vari oma se sukiania ina dogme ma ai tunya ina la abuja vari dogme era kwa me gime evo ni me gbe ma e ma bu kere me ma sabore ne ka no hin eso me ma ra e ami me e awo ono ko na gwe hin ma yo me wo me ani gme na ra gwe eru kon vai kere oni makis me ni ogela aria e ke Yimere ahi me wo ni bobo se bo na wo robo bo ami oni me ire robo so na gbon ma egbe dan beize mere makis me gbe me no e beize me na ro one ne gbe ma dai na re ligere gbe na do mo gi me ne gbe na do dan ni me mama mi ayi go no polo gbe just that any sime na he won o ri me aro yo se ne bo na wo robo fi me wo na me agbon ri ai ma ai mi egbe ma dan many people riwo ami ka ye mo gi jo bebe he e se ye mo gi me oni makini se ya riwo o sori o bebe ami na mo ri mo gi wa na ka gbon he o me ge ja ro jo eso me ro je ba pe eso me ro je wo hin o me na go ba re me agbon ma e wo ai ma re ori ado ta ma ni ai na do abu me de me do gbon egbe da me ro to ya ni gbe na je na ni o pari oro bebe na o ye so gba olabuja vari me na ro oni me ji saple bi so iwo kan oro gwano ni me ji so oni na ro e wo boss me oro awon na ono ze ya obi me no o ma se gbo ni oni ono ze ya e meta e ye ma tara de e ro ligere we gbe are mo ji hospital o me ma ma ye saboye na kitun me ama se gbon ona gbon me are mo ji hospital e gbe dan e more ona gbon ma without amana gbon ne ma ni fo no na ra ni gbe kwa oni shadow ari ma ni ade one mi apologbo ni gan apologbo o avugbe han fun de we adoma ko na ra ni na gbe kwa ni shadow ni na ri ma ni ono ni mi do lesi o se ne bo ame piefo me ko agbon irezo me use ara wo on the spot we stop we ma ni wa me wa saboto ni fun ni ma wa secret is many kin me agba iva me gbon ona agba iva ka riwo egbin ta ona ziva na wo gbon se de we joy be ipe va ni me rezo me use e mi rezo no o ma vari osmena ni wa mi osmena ni me gbon na ni o baro ona just o se be na hin ona ordinary flower just vinori meto me gbon awani na Nere do diare. Even I said there ni megmo awon na said there no. E me agbon ba vai no vai wo video on this month then megmo. Avie. Ovie na.
Ingme no bi me ma me bara egbe maje. No ja kere egbe ne bi ngme ma me bara egbe maje. Ege ni ngme ma me fo me na le kan ni ngme me akeko. Mana to check mo di police barrack. Eje bo me na ki je bo ide Shagamu. O the hospital no the Temitope clinic ni no the Shagamu me na nwe na ma na ege ni me na ho pon we re gbe hu omo gbon ma me ami amomo the hospital me na dai body me afford dogare ma no me gbon mi wo gbon fo e woro we bi kere me ege ni e bi so e mi se ege ni before me do wu me na do kiruwa Igbo riwo Yoruba riwo Edo ye riwo me kwe do kiruwa age mi dore oro do wa mi aki ogun mi aki edo egin meje mi ye odogbe ma gin meje umogun mi afisa plero de gemos meje mi ye dogbe ma mani ami omi odimenori asaba oye vari oye mu mi aka asaba mi ye dogbe ma asaba mi ye jire so pa mejo ni chayo gbon o ata no hospital me kun e ma e beza ni hospital na me kun e ma odo ne man mo jabo si iben mi o ba era mi no otomi iben okuru ekpokuru no ne anami oni iben no to me ekpokuru no ne ni o ma cho esan cho o ba era mi ono ba era mi na na mi gwe na ri e bore gbe koko won epoton pa ana me gwe na ri mistake e ba no ma ka kenu wali we na lo oko ilawo oko afiofio ezelu yo afiofio ara no ribo e fen so do ahwe o do hwe ni o aso ara ono ko ni aso ara ifo no mo egbe akawa mo si hospital di hospital ewe do ma na mo gbe ma na we ma na gbe ma no but e ne ran ero e ma ima na de ran ero e ma se ma ni do ro bo so me do gara hwe re fen so tututu ma wo na mo varu wa me do ri rezo me do re gbon me do ri kun na no anwo abi on serious gbe o no ma fa gbo ma gbon me be ni mi agbe na isime na mi agbo ne be mi go na anyo ari ka be mi so na no do si 3 days no mo ni recover mo re mi do gbon mi gbon fo oge mi ari agbon ni ara dokere e keso ara dokere e keso me kun ni mi a misi mi gbon fo mi ro ni kun ni mi ro gbo mi ru pon gba lo mi wi yan no mo wu mi ari kun na so gba gbon ni kun ni ofo e ma awo ka battalion ama sa bo re ka na me wo bun e ma kan won e avare na gari mi agbin wo kan e ma ewo aya mi wa aye baba vare mo han ye sabogbon suwa vare abi egbin umeme bat scorpion lizard arere mi gbon mi ro erere me dry ka mi dry mi erere we scorpion me drive anything ere me drive for set to me e pa lo iri mere wo no kan won pa draw e ke ono like beze be na mi ma ora kwa na me to va pa gbon no mo me na dogba ozia we agbema we na hu pon hun mi dago wo ora no jana o egbon ne mana mi ta ma wewo ora no jana gbon ne ma ami e bo so gbema ni o ma fo ami e bo so gbema ni o ma fo aye mo gime amo re mi awo hu pon vara re aye wa to gbon re aye wo kin gbon mi go ta ma mi wo ko no jana de mi ti ni ma kokojo mi go ta ma go ora no jana o egbon ne mana ebi ba gbon fo bese go ma na ebo ma fo bese go mo gyo no kekere ikun gwe ade mi agbon de ma oda ami o kan di hospital nya me ri your word wisdom na mo kan pare ana fisi arana mi de ma ni na mi na wo ko mi na me ara e ma ba no mo na wo bi mere re je na me daga yo so me daga ebunu so e jaje ona me ha mi na wo mi na mo do ko ba mi na gwara so efen we fe do jaje ro bo so efen wo dia tutu mi na gwa daga e ma no na ba mo ara na mara no mo 3 months are gbon e ma ona me ba ru mi na gwo re ore me ari kun na ba re treat for 3 months akegbon we aru pon kun e kan we gbon oni me gbon mi ro no mo me gbon mi yero ona re we gbon mi yero because mo e ken bi mai mo ko e bo no do de e beze me na ma bi me ba re gbon ye na de e gwa ro pe tan wa ma na de no agwe akọ de ami egwe na me wu me sabo wo egwe anya ana mo me na ni me mai na emi kike me mai o mo bi ko ha mo ri kun do ko ha ma e yan re na te big mass sickness mo ye gbo mo me na mo ye re ri e beze me na ma no mo me na re gbe ai ran si me wo egwe omo si me o continue iri yin mere ma me yin me akon mo me se ma ni me e ko me na va na mo gbo won na so na mu me na to me agbon ma o me na o ma bi me na po bi mo bogo na o ri aro ai ran varege e man me gbugbo ru pon vare na da me bi mani senior brothers me na no ba mo e ka me na gbe mi fi o e ke oye mi mo e ke ge e mani mi agbon re ori e ko na re ori o ora si 3 months me na agbon me gbon o ma fo o ibo ogun are kere me na keke ye gbon o ina do fo Ili meregbo.
When I first start this care for people to save their life, I started 1994. 94. There is one woman that teach me how to do it, because it's just like if you want to learn mechanic or driver. This is I take time to learn her, almost 3 years to learn how to cure this sickness for somebody. Because this stomach pain, but everybody have it, but it's different. Why there is different inside? Those where they are all big, heavy, too much for body, and they bring sickness to that person. And hospital don't have the cure of those medicine. We can only use it for lative. No time. Even though you go to hospital, they cannot cure it. Because why? This thing for stomach, for belly, is sides of stomach. Not all belly and side, the two sides. If na the two sides, you will say na husband and wife. Once the thing don't enter under chest, that person will not survive am again. Once you don't enter under chest, he will not survive it. Because once the thing dey start, e dey leak blood, dey leak somebody blood. If we dey buy blood, every pan of blood every day, that one will dey dim the blood, will dey leak am. Because that one warm, just like the thing round like this, e get small mouth. Once that thing don dey pinch person, that one dey pinch person, you no quick cure am, you want to make that person survive am. You like you buy heaven and earth blood, you must die. I don use this native medicine for many people. And more than 20 people but I don use this medicine for. Some dey come for Lagos, Warri, Benin here, many people. Because once somebody don see am, we each dey call her Emma. We dey call her Emma. When Benin people dey call her Udeh. When you see somebody, all her mouth dey white, eyes dey white, the hair no dey change color, go just be like goat wey never strong for body. You know say na that sickness na dey hold am. Those one na fancy. If some just see somebody like this, you no know that na sickness. We just think that na fancy. Say maybe na cartoon. When he come say, mama, abeg, that cartoon wey so person get, I need am. Are you feeling stomach pain? We say no, but I just need the fancy. I will do it for you. You will know that no be sickness, but you get the way I will take mark am. You will like am. That one mean the two sides so, na be the Emma, na be the sickness. But if you want to just do dressing as cartoon, you do it center, down, two sides like this for here. You know that one a cartoon. But the really sickness are the sides, two sides, and that one is sick. People will always just give her time, small time will come back. Or a mokere or a zobo. Just like when somebody body dey hot, you use paracetamol. Small time again, the body will start to be hot again. And this very muscle, if you want to know the real Emma, for morning by 8 o'clock, something will come out. You will see a clear, you will not see. But if it is 10th level, you will hide the cell, you will not see her again. Till evening time again, 4 o'clock. When it is 4 o'clock, the thing will come out again. And fine, according to we. Then you will okay or because to make sure say no money no their life. Honor their go sorry. That is why I dey use take small money to buy instead of this medicine to cure the sickness. No be negbe dan since me dey boy on say we do.
Aremoji hospital gbé dan
On ata no hospital me kun Emma.
Hospital don't have the cure of those medicine. We can only use it for lative.
No way. It has not in any way reduced it. To a very large extent, I have some medical guys as friends and acquaintances, and they will tell you what they see there. You know, they have a name for it, call it spleen or whatever. And the drugs that they will recommend, it will only subside the pain. But once this operation takes place, which they have not been able to discover, modern medicine, that our people are used to, it goes and it goes. So there are some persons who are even medical doctor, if they want to be frank with you, if they pull out their dress, you discover that those things are even there. And they carry this tattoo, and they know exactly that. They will say it was when we were ignorant, we were not aware when it happened. But ask him, do you still observe such pains again? Has such pains been experienced again? Will tell you never again. So for comparatively, modern medicine have its limitation as much as even as time. I'm not saying that once this thing is done, our school, we can boastfully say it cures it much more than that of English. But this is the balance I want to strike. Those who have undergone this operation, they never experience it again. There is no draw, no pain relief. That is the disadvantage. Once this thing is done, there are no pain relief. There are nothing like that will deaden the skin. The child will scream all his or her life all through. I know those side effect is there. But the moment the pain, the person is relieved of that pain, is gone. Modern medicine, hospital everywhere. Some hospital medical doctors who have this background training too from the home front, they will quietly tell you, go out there and take care of this thing. I did it, I have it. But for modern medicine, we cannot tell you, take this drug, man, get it. But there are age bracket that the child will get to. They will give you something that serves as detoxification of the system. But in the moment that the person has grown that age, it's very difficult to get it until you visit these surgeons that are traditionally trained.
One of my medical friend, a doctor, that time, that's over 20, maybe 25, 26 years ago. That time, it's when Christianity was, how do I put it there? Once you are a Christian, you cannot do any other thing, even to use herbs or anything. It's like you are a sinner, all manner of things. I remember there were some women who had problems, their children had problems, health issues that defied the orthodox treatment. You know, they did everything, yet the children were not getting better until they took the children to mark this Udeh. And after they did that, the thing disappeared. At least I know up to 5 people that after they went to mark this Udeh, the whole thing, disappeared. So that my medical friend that I said, after all, Udeh is just explain that is ignorance that is worrying these people, blah blah blah. That time that was how we saw it too. Like these people, they will not, they will go leave the church or leave this one instead of them to take the child to the hospital. But many of them complained that they have gone to the hospital, but nothing was coming out of they were not getting desired results until they went to mark the Udeh. And after that period, those children got well. Even some adults too that I know somehow got well. I don't know the secret, but I know they went to mark Udeh and they got healed somehow. Even in Benin, that's why I believe that it's not only Esan people now, but it's though the person told me that it was an Esan man, Esan that designed the thing that did the Udeh, marked the Udeh, but they are Benin. They live in Benin. So at a point, the children, at least I'm aware of that too. The children were not fine all the time, today, tomorrow. So somehow, one day, I saw the children. I saw that she had gone to mark the Udeh. I said, what's be this? He said, now that one we can't go do. The sickness too much. They say unless we do the would they say they go well and I will carry. And though since that time now, I've not heard her complain. No. So I don't know the secret behind it. I don't know if there is any medical backing for that, but it is the traditional way, traditional method of the Esan people to address the ailments that are related to that Udeh thing or that make them to mark the Udeh. And I think it's effective for them.
How genuine it is when people say to us, including those who are well educated, that splenomegaly, which is the other term medically for the enlargement of the spleen, it doesn't have an orthodox cure. In other words, there is no medical cure for it. By that I mean they are referring to the Western medical practice, which I subscribe to. That is not true. The most important thing to understand is every ailment has a cause. And the scientific approach to managing an illness is to find the cause. And this is not different from the way we approach life in Esan. We know that we plant during the rainy season and we harvest at certain points. We are able to calculate, and based on our observation of nature, which is scientific, we tailor our farming habits toward that. Same thing with an illness. If the spleen is swollen, which is not normal, there must be something causing it. And the process of looking for what is causing it is a first step. Once you find out the cause, you can go ahead to treat the underlying cause and the spleen will come back to normal. Medically, there are many reasons why the spleen can become enlarged. The most common when I practiced medicine in Nigeria, was malaria, which every person has to, suffer with, especially children. I remember practicing in Elisha, and when children came in and we were looking for all the signs of an infection, we looked at many other things. It wasn't just the swollen spleen. We looked at the eye to see if there was pallor, if there was an indication that there was any form of anemia. And we also took the temperature to see if there was a temperature risk, things that follow infections. So that was not the only thing we checked. We also took blood samples to see if there was an increase in the white cell count, meaning that the body is trying to fight an infection. So when you put all of those together, you can make a diagnosis or make a decision. My problem with the practice in Esan is that I never saw them say, let's look at what is going on in a way that you can explain or that you can duplicate. Usually it is a divination system, which I'm not saying this with disrespect, but I did not find it to be useful. So the many causes of the spleen enlarging, which could be, like I said, infection, the commonest being malaria, but there are other conditions. They're called autoimmune, where there's a pattern in the body that the body begins to attack itself. And that also has a scientific explanation. There are times when it comes actually from a condition in the liver called cirrhosis. It happens a lot to people who imbibe too much alcohol, a very chronic form of alcoholism. But there's also a viral infection called mononucleosis, or mumps that people have, that I remember as a child, we all had mumps. But those things can cause the enlargement of the spleen. Many things happen to lead to the cure. If you remember, we do have what we call the MMR, where we have the mumps, measles, rubella vaccine, to reduce the incidence of mumps, mononucleosis, measles, or rubella fever. So when you do those things, which can be replicated any other part of the world, you are reducing the incidence of an enlargement of the spleen. That is how I would explain it. And so being able to treat the enlargement of the spleen means you have an understanding of what's causing it. If you tell me what's causing it is the fact that my mother-in-law is not happy with me, or there's somebody who envies my success, that is going to be hard to scientifically prove. And I know people who say, yes, there are things that are beyond science, but let's deal with the things that are within science in the first place. We're not the only ones in the world who have a large spleen. And it's not all of them that have to blame their mother-in-law, their uncle that they did not like, or their, somebody at work who is doing them something spiritually in the dark. And that's something that we have to deal with. The other thing that I want to talk about is the artistic pattern, which entails the bleeding or the scarification, making marks that allow blood to actually come out. Are they effective? First and foremost, when you make scarification on the skin, it doesn't touch the spleen, because by the time you touch the spleen, you would have gone beyond the peritoneum and actually into the deeper part of the organ. And if you do that, you will be killing somebody. So the patterns that are made on the skin does not in any way reach the spleen. We say, oh, yes, but we also put some medications, we put some stuff that allow it to penetrate into the spleen. There is no way to duplicate that in every other culture to make it universally acceptable. And then there's a problem with it. The implements that are used, are they sterilized? I remember that some of the things that we had to battle with, individuals actually died not from the spleen enlargement, but from the procedure of scarification, because they used things that caused tetanus, they used materials that were not sterile and led to other secondary infections. So that's one area in which I have problems with this practice.
Splenomegaly is a medical diagnosis. And as a physician, as a practicing physician, you have been taught how to palpate, how to make a diagnosis of splenomegaly. And as a sonologist too, I have also practiced for years, and we have made a diagnosis of splenomegaly as most often as a symptom or as an adjunct diagnosis of a medical disease, of a medical condition. For example, splenomegaly cannot, you hardly see, you can say unexplained splenomegaly. It hardly happens. It's always a part of chronic malaria, leishmaniasis, schistosomiasis, leukemias, or hemoglobinopathies. When I say hemoglobin, I'm talking about sickle cell disease and all its associates. And we know that in Esan, sickle cell disease has been very endemic. So the splenomegaly we don't do any surgical operation medically to address splenomegaly. But as soon as the underlying pathology or the underlying clinical condition is taken care of, the spleen will recede on its own. And that is a cure. So it is erroneous to say that splenomegaly cannot be treated medically or through the orthodox means. It is addressed, we address it frontally. But you don't address the spleen as an organ. You address the causative, the underlying disease, and the spleen goes back to its normal size. Talking about how we have always lived as a people, or how we had lived as a people before the advent of AGMEMA, that's making a surgical treatment for splenomegaly by our native doctors or local herbalists. We had a system where we respected beautifying the omare, which means tattooing our young girls as a form of beautification. This tattooing will be, they used to do it with some, our surgical instruments and some herbs, leaving some beautiful scars after a while. And it was a mark of maturity, and a young girl attaining maturity, beautifying the young girl attaining maturity so that men could look on her and maybe subsequently marry her. After this decoration with beautiful tattooing, the young lady is allowed to just cover her breast and her special pelvic organs while they leave exposed their beautifully designed abdomen. So that was what we used to do until before the herbalists discovered that we could surgically address splenomegaly locally, and that was that's what we call agbema, that you are going through superficial surgical operation to address splenomegaly.
Let's talk about complementarity. Is there a way that the traditional approach to certain illnesses, not just splenomegaly, can work with modern medicine in a complementary manner? It will require that our traditional healers are willing to work with modern medicine. But and I will also say that there are areas where our traditional leaders or healers have been able to find a treatment modality which work. But those treatment modalities can be reproduced. They have found herbs that actually work. They have found things that are useful. And that is to be expected. The way nature is that nature has also created around us things that help us with healing. Even the food that we eat, or some of the fruits that we partake of. And so around Esan land, there are herbs that if adequately put in the right place can actually help us to heal. If traditional leaders are willing and work with medical practitioners where we can have mutual respect, have a way of inquiry, looking at this, what is in this, how much of it is needed for a particular age, for a particular body weight, for a particular set of conditions. Can we codify them? Can we write them down for other people to be able to improve upon? If that happens, I think there is a great deal that we can do together. I want to give you an example. The Chinese have found a way now to share their traditional healing methods, which have been on for centuries. But now they are able to write them down, and we're beginning to find the reason why acupuncture works. And it doesn't work in all situations. And they've been able to study the neurological system. They've been able to study the neural points at which they put pressure. So those things can be investigated. And we have now discovered that, coconut milk, some of the fruits that we eat, that they are superfoods, that they help to, to actually protect us against illnesses. So that is part of our tradition that I, as a doctor, I appreciate, and I will always incorporate it. When I was in boarding school in ACC, we had ways of curing fungal infections, guinea worm and the rest. They were herbs. And if you actually analyze them, they had antifungal properties. So there is nothing wrong with that. But to say that when the spleen is enlarged, there's no orthodox way of curing it, it's not true. It does more harm than good. And so my conclusion is that the way to address this issue, which unfortunately has been even further propagated by people who are supposed to be well-educated, saying that there are some things that we know that are just spiritual or a different kind of science that cannot be fully investigated, and they work. Well, there are things, sometimes the spleen can heal itself, but we need to examine the system and remove the possibility of it causing more harm. There's a dictum in medical practice: do no harm.
Let us also understand that the superficial surgery, locally carried out superficial surgery, as relating to cure splenomegaly, leaves some beautiful scarification or tattoos. And you may, it is good to say at this point that it is not only done as it is today, that superficial surgical markings are not only done just for medical reasons. It has some, like, almost long time aesthetic function, beautification function. It also have identity function. When many people come to my office, as soon as they open their abdomen and I see that guy, I say, oh, you are from Edo State, or you are an Esan person, the person will definitely say yes, because it is the mark for an Esan person. And an Esan male has a characteristic position for it. An Esan female has also a characteristic position for it. So as, in fact, as time goes on, you see it, because eventually they grow up, they become adults, and it becomes a sign of a beautification mark. They can display it everywhere, and people admire it. So coming to your point, whether there's ever going to be a time where there could be a synergy, or we could embrace the traditional practice where we can work together, it could be modified anyway. Yes, it is very possible. I'll tell you this as a public health physician. Many years ago, our traditional birth attendants were being demonized because we felt women go there to deliver and they died. Many of them, some of them that were lucky, they came out. Some were not very lucky. They came out with terrible infection that eventually altered their sex life, their lives, as even their reproductive life. So because of that, we went to these people. In public health physician, we went to these people. It's a part of primary health care. We went to these people. We interviewed them and we asked them, how can we come in to make sure that you practice, you do better practices, and you are of help to the public health system? And the truth is, they were very willing to be helped and to be upgraded, to be internalized into the primary healthcare system. Today we call them TBAs. They are traditional birth attendants, and they form the grassroots basis for the primary healthcare, especially when it has to do with the reproductive health. They are helping a lot. Oh, this your place is not looking beautiful. Infection could come from here. The woman should come here and deliver. What can we do? Let's make it cleaner. They agreed. We helped them. The government funded it. Primary healthcare system funded it. Oh, Oga, you see, this is the delivery you can take easily. If the baby is bringing head and the woman is, and the labor is progressing, or is very progressive, and it doesn't take long and the baby's head is out, you can take such delivery. These are danger signs you can identify and you send to us at the hospitals. You understand? When the woman is bleeding beyond so time, you send after delivery, you send to us at the hospital. If the woman is in labor and the head is not making much progress, you send to us at the hospital. And by doing this, they followed. And by doing this, even it started in some states, especially the Edo State and the West now, even the East, the TBAs, traditional birth attendants, they are very helpful towards reducing maternal mortality. So why can't we do a similar thing to these people? Well, this is what we can do. You can approach these people. They are there. They are well known. In fact, they even make some trips to other places to help people to treat their splenomegaly through this means. Though I do not agree that this means can actually address splenomegaly, but this is what they do. I admire the beautification. I admire the identity aspect of it. And this is what they do, and people align with them, people respect them, people go to them. Even from development, from some exposed Nigerians, they take their children to them. And that is why in pediatrics, we have a place for this concept. We have a place for them. We relate with them very well. So how can we make it more hygienic? You are using rusted razor blades and all those things. we can provide with them serrae blades, lancet blades, and all those things that you can use this. You are using it with your hands, not gloved, not protected. You can wear gloves, and you can use meditated spirit to sterilize the environment before you make an incision. Oh, this is what happens if you do this procedure and the bleeding is becoming difficult. You can send to the primary health center where the doctor can help you. Though I know that they hardly have bleeding issues because they have some herbs that can secure hemostasis almost immediately. So those are some of the issues. And okay, look at this hemostasis we just talked about. People are able to, they do an invasive procedure and you never see any hemorrhage. People don't bleed to death, but they have been caught. These people are able to secure hemostasis within minutes. We can look into this. What are you using? What are the contents of these herbs? And they can also help us in the medical practice. So these people are well-respected people, and they have a way of passing this knowledge from one generation to another. So it is a good thing we relate with them. We make it more hygienic, less infection prone, and we demonize it less.